Okay, so we'll read some verses. Item 22. I think we'll read this. King Rahugana continued. Rahugana continued. My dear sir, you have said that designations like bodily fatness and thinness are not the are not characteristics of the soul. That is incorrect because designations like pain and pleasure are certainly felt by the soul. So he is refuting what Jada Bharat has said. First, Rahugana told Jada Bharat that you are stout and strong, and all this. Then Jada Bharat responded by saying that I am not, because the soul is neither fat or thin. And now King Rahugana is saying, my dear sir, you have said that designations like bodily fatness and thinness are not characteristics of the soul. That is incorrect. So he's saying the soul is fat and soul is thin. Because designations like pain and pleasure are certainly felt by the soul. The soul is experiencing. You may put a pot of milk and rice within fire. Okay. Milk and rice within fire. And the milk and rice are automatically heated one after another, after the other. Similarly, due to bodily pains and pleasures, the senses, mind, and soul are affected. The soul cannot be completely detached from this conditioning. So he says they are all interconnected. Just as you put rice and milk on fire, then one after another, maybe milk gets heated, then rice gets heated. So similarly, because of bodily pains and pleasures, the senses, mind, and soul are affected. Which is what Jada Bharat kind of said. No, soul is different and not affected. The soul cannot be completely detached from this conditioning. Okay, so this argument put forward by Maharaj Rahuguna is correct from the practical point of view, but it arises from an attachment to the bodily conception. So, yes, it is true for the bodily conception that the mind is affected, the soul, the senses are affected, and the soul is experiencing something. It can be said that a person sitting in his car is certainly different from his car. But if there is damage to the car, the owner of the car, being overly attached to the car, feels pain. Yeah, when we have new car and something happens, right, then we feel sad about it. Actually, the damage done to the car has nothing to do with the car's proprietor. But because the proprietor has identified himself with the interest of the car, he feels pleasure and pain connected with it. The same example we gave that, if it is in the dealer's shop and you didn't buy it and something happened to the car, then you are not affected. But as soon as you sign on that paper and purchase the car, then it's in your possession and something happens to it, now you're affected. Because previously there was no sense of proprietorship. Now there is a sense of proprietorship. I own this car, this is my asset. Previously it was the dealer's asset. So others' asset, something happens, we are not worried. Right? Somebody's house is on fire in Los Angeles, so many houses. If our house gets on fire, then we are affected by it. That's what he's saying. Because now we are connected with it, it is mind. This conditional state can be avoided if attachment is withdrawn from the car. Then the proprietor would not feel pleasure or pain. If the car is damaged or whatever. So if there is no attachment, there is no pain when something happens to the car. Similarly, the soul has nothing to do with the body and the senses, But due to ignorance, he identifies himself with the body and he feels pleasure and pain due to bodily pleasure and pain. So, because of the identification, that's how we've discussed this many times, that we feel invested in something, and our children and everything, our house, our assets, and our family and everything, and then something happens to family, we are affected by it because we identify them as our own, and that is why we are feeling. Okay. So, any comments on this? So how to break that? So, shouldn't be there any attachment to anything in this world? Yes, that's true, because anything that you get attached to will be taken away. So we want to become attached. That's the desire of the soul, to be attached. Then you should be attached to Krishna and pure devotees of the Lord. So if you are attached to Krishna and his pure devotees, then it is the cause of our liberation. Prasangamajaram pasham atmana kave vidu saeva sadhu shakrito mokshatvaram apavritam. And if you are attached to somebody, the pure devotee, then we will serve the pure devotee. And Vaishnav Seva, if you do, Vaishnav Seva, what is that? Nistar Paye Chikeba. Chadiya Vaishnav Seva, Nistar Paye Chikeba. If you give up Vaishnav Seva, who has attained liberation without serving a Vaishnava? So if you serve Vaishnava, means Vani and Vapu, and then we serve Krishna. So how? So we become attached to other things, then it is the cause of our entanglement in this world. So if you are attached to the pure devotees, then we go where the pure devotees are and to be with them. And they are with Krishna in Krishna's service. So you go where they are. So this is how attachment is not denied, but attachment has to be applied into the right place. And also there is compassion. Attachment, if there is no attachment, doesn't mean that one is indifferent to other living entities who are not pure devotees. No, there is compassion. Compassion means kindness towards them, because we suffer only when we have attachment. But so we may not feel suffering of other living entities because we have no attachment for them. Generally, that's how it is, right? We don't feel somebody suffering, somebody is not connected with us and they are suffering. So we don't feel for them because there is no attachment. But the Vaishnavas, they feel compassion. But here it's saying the attachment is the cause of, like misidentification. So they are attached, but they understand that, oh, this is spirit soul. They are attached. This is Krishna's child. This person is Krishna's child, and they are suffering. Let me help, because this person ultimately belongs to Krishna, and I should protect Krishna's property. Right? I should help salvage Krishna's property. This child or this person has been kidnapped by Maya, by the illusory energy. So let me help them. Krishna will be pleased, because if we bring this child, this person back to Krishna, and Krishna will be pleased with me. So in that also there is desire to please Krishna by helping others. So let me connect them with Krishna. Let me help them. So that is compassion. So, so in this way, the pure devotees, they are very compassionate. Prahlad Maharaj and others, Vasudev Dutt. So they want to help others become happy. They want to see others happy. So that is a Vaishnava. Para Sukha Sukhi. They want to see others happy, and in their happiness, they feel happy. And Para Dukha Dukhi. In their misery, they feel sad. So that is why they share Krishna consciousness with others. So although for them they are feeling very happy, but they are simultaneously feeling sad. As Prahlad Maharaj says, I am feeling happy, But I'm also feeling sad for all the others who are not feeling that happiness that I'm feeling. So then they are preaching. So this is how one, shares Krishna consciousness, and because without coming, they know. Prahlad Maharaj says, without coming to your shelter, I know they cannot be happy. So that is why he wants to connect everybody with Krishna. And in this way, everybody will feel. Just 1 minute, Premilas Guru is calling. Hello? Huh. Uh-huh. Okay. I'll I can go maybe. Yeah. Hmm. आपको फीवर है ना? Okay. Hmm. How many? So it's a big, like, lot of people come there. Oh, actually today today is Sunday, right? Okay. Yeah. Okay. ठीक है. मैं Yeah. Hmm. Okay. ठीक है. Okay. ठीक है. Hmm. ठीक है. 4 बजे है ना वहाँ? Okay. 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 Yeah. ठीक है. Okay. Hmm. हाँ उनको ले लो. ठीक है. Okay. Okay. My dear sir, you have said that the relationship between the king and the subject, or between the master and servant, are not eternal. But although such relationships are temporary, when a person takes the position of a king, his duty is to rule the citizens and punish those who are disobedient to the laws. By punishing them, he teaches the citizens to obey the laws of the state. So Jada Bharata also said that, you know, you are feeling, Rahugana, you are feeling you are the king and I am your servant, but this is all temporary situation. And he's refuting that argument by saying that yes, uh, even though they are temporary, but it's a duty in the temporary relationship for the king to instruct the citizens and punish those who are not obeying. So basically, you are not obeying what I was saying, and that's why I spoke harsh words. Kind of, he's justifying. He didn't say directly, although he felt very bad, but now he's saying like this. Maybe he wants to hear. He's playing the devil's advocate, so he wants to hear maybe. By punishing them, he teaches the citizens to obey the laws of the state. Again, you have said that punishing a person who is deaf and dumb is like chewing the chewed or grinding the pulp. That is to say, there is no benefit in it. However, if one is engaged in his own occupational duty as ordered by the Supreme Lord, his sinful activities are certainly diminished. Therefore, if one is engaged in his occupational duty by force, he benefits. However, if one is engaged in his own occupational duty as ordered by the Supreme Lord, his sinful activities are certainly diminished. Therefore, if one is engaged in his occupational duty by force, he benefits because he can vanquish all his sinful activities in that way. So you are like a Shudra, so I was engaging you in some work for me, and that way your sinful activities would have diminished, even if by force, if you engage in your occupational duties. So I was helping you, kind of, he's saying. So this argument offered by Maharaja Rahugana is certainly very effective In Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Srila Rupa Goswami says, Tasmat kenapya kenapya upayena mana Krishna niveshayet. Therefore, Tasmat kenapya upayena, by whatever way, upay, remedy, mana Krishna niveshayet, fix the mind on Krishna. Somehow or other, one should engage in Krishna consciousness. So he said, somehow or other, if one is engaged in one's occupational duty, even if by force, then he's benefited. So Prabhupada has taken that to say that somehow or other, if one serves Krishna, remembers Krishna. Actually, every living being is an eternal servant of Krishna, but due to forgetfulness, a living entity engages himself as an eternal servant of Maya. As long as one is engaged in Maya's service, he cannot be happy. So we have to carefully discern, is Maya telling us or is it Krishna telling us? And the devotee who is very sharp, who has sharp intelligence, by grace of Krishna, can distinguish between material desires and spiritual desires, and he sees where the illusory energy is tricking me. He's very alert. Alert. What is the other thing? He has to be alert. He has to be
In the association of devotees and have the correct aspiration,
aspiration.
desires.
Alert, aspiration, and association. So yeah, so you have to be alert. Whether it is Maya, because everything is not Krishna. Every choice is not coming from Krishna. The choice is coming from Maya also. So one has to be very carefully, very intelligently discern between the choices and the situations and make the right decision. And that Krishna, chanting Hare Krishna helps us to make this. So we can not, otherwise we will be in Maya and we'll be thinking we are in Krishna consciousness. So as long as one is engaged in Maya's service, he cannot be happy. So people are experiencing happiness, but that is illusory happiness. It is the calm before the storm. So the illusory happiness that one experiences, it's like coming and going also. It's not like steady. In Maya, this thing. Whereas Krishna consciousness happiness can be steady. Other happiness comes and goes, right? From the body, you fall sick, and then again you become healthy, then you have some other problem, relationship problem, then legal problem, and something else, and job problem, and financial problem, and all these things are always so. As long as we are engaged in Maya's service, we cannot be happy. Prabhupada is making a blanket statement here. So, to convince us. It's like the absolute truth, Krishna speaking, through Prabhupada. He's writing all this. So, and Maya will only kick us from one life to the next. It's like we are being kicked by football. Like Prabhupada gives the example that when the donkey goes to meet the Shias, then he gets a kick. So this is what, when we go to embrace Maya, then we get a kick from one life to the next. Like a football, we are kicked around. Brahmanda Brahmite Kono Bhagyavan Jeev. Sometimes we are high up, football is high up, like we say, the way we play football in India is the football is high up and then it comes down, then somebody else kicks it, then it goes high, then it comes down. And in different positions it is, right, in different places of the field. So we are on this banyan tree in different branches. We go hop from one branch to another. Sometimes in this species of life, sometimes in that species of life. So now Krishna has given us a golden opportunity in the human form of life. We have got golden opportunity and a nice, relatively better situation in the sense that we have little peace and calmness, and we don't have to struggle that much. So we have to capitalize on this opportunity because there are so many situations in this world for human beings and for animals and other species of life. And those situations can be very challenging. Many situations are very challenging. Most of the situations are very challenging. So we should not create a situation where our sadhana will be compromised, and our chanting and our inspiration will be taken away by that situation, because we'll miss out on this golden opportunity. And there is nothing to gain in this world, actually. There is nothing you can take with you. So, in the pursuit of all these material desires and the false sense of proprietorship, yeah, we tend to possess many things and many people and followers and like that, and then we get tricked into all these things, and then we actually forget about our real purpose of life, and life becomes like a strain. So one should, that's why, simplify one's life and focus on the purpose of life. So cut out the non-essentials, cut out all the non-essentials in one's life. What is essential, like job and everything, what is required is there, but we have to cut out all the non-essentials. That's what Krishna says in the second chapter, that giving up all the desires born out of mental concoction. So you have to cut them out. Sarva partha manogatan atmani eva atmana tushteva
प्रजाहते रागं
prajahati.
सर्वं आत्मनेवात्मनतुष्टा स्थिता प्रज्ञतदुच्यते.
Yeah, so there's a golden opportunity. So don't get distracted by so many false things of this world, and just focus on Krishna. That's all. Otherwise, we'll miss this opportunity, and death can come at any time. And so, we should renew our determination, right? We have to renew our determination and remember the blessings we have. And we want to fly in Krishna consciousness. So we don't want anything that will pull me down. So we want to fly in Krishna consciousness. We want to soar like an eagle in the sky, very high. So we want to like be not bogged down by anything of this world. Our Krishna consciousness movement aims at engaging people in Lord Krishna's service. Prabhupada says this is the aim, to engage everybody in Krishna's service. That's the aim of Krishna consciousness movement, that will help them become freed from all material contamination and sinful activity. Yeah, because the heart will become clean, and then so there is no sinful activity. If the heart is clean, then there is no sinful activity. By engagement in devotional service, the heart will become clean. This is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 4:10. Vita raga bhaya krodha. Vita means free from raga, bhaya, and krodha. Raga, attachment, fear, and anger. Yesterday we were discussing attachment, fear, and anger. Fear is because there is attachment, we'll lose it. And anger is there because of also attachment, when you want to control somebody and it doesn't work like that. Or when we lose something, then we become angry at God also. So, Vitaraga Bhaya Krodha. So everything starts. Yeah.
And attachment is equal to lust, I think, because attachment means at the bodily platform, correct?
Yeah.
Like we say, if the lust is not satisfied, leads to anger.
Yeah. Correct. So attachment for sense gratification. If it
Mm.
attachment is there for sense gratification, and if that thing is not satisfied, then it will give anger. Otherwise, attachment to the soul, Krishna, and to the devotees for service, that's different attachment. So, attachment for sense gratification will cause problems. By becoming detached from material activities, we'll be freed from fear and anger. By becoming detached from material activities, we'll be freed from fear and anger. So, detachment will, there is a verse, right? What is the use of the, what does Devahuti say? If it does not give rise to knowledge, if religion does not give rise to knowledge, if knowledge does not give rise to renunciation, and then renunciation doesn't give rise to devotional service to the Lord, then
Anyone whose work does not elevate him to religious life.
what verse is it?
Anyone who's 3:23:56.
Okay, yeah. What is it? Anyone whose work does not elevate him to religious life, then
And whose religious ritualistic performances don't raise him to renunciation.
hmm,
And anyone whose renunciation does not lead him to devotional service
hmm.
must be considered dead.
Yeah. So we have work is meant for ultimately religious life means becoming, yeah, attached to Krishna ultimately. But religious ritualistic ceremonies is not whose religious ritualistic performance do not raise him to renunciation. So if you do ritually, then it will not happen, obviously. So it's kind of self-defeating in that in this religious. So anyone whose religion does not lead him to renunciation, and they may be doing ritualistically, and anyone situated in renunciation that does not lead him to devotional service to the. So renunciation is there, but if it does not lead to devotional service, it is also incomplete. It is good. The Maya, the impersonalists are renounced, right? So, but they're not engaged in devotional service. So they are high on the ladder, but they have not. They have given up material desires because they know this is. They have recognized that this is the cause of entanglement. So they have recognized, but they have not attached themselves to the lotus feet of the Lord. So that's why they fall down also.
Mhm. They have not developed a higher taste. They are mechanically controlling their senses.
Hmm.
Yannirvindaksha
Uttama.
vimuktamayinas.
Svayashta bhavad avishuddha buddhaya आरुह्य कृच्छेन परम पदम ततः पतन्ति अधो अनादृता युष्मादंग्रहाय. That's in the prayers by demigods, right?
Dem- Demigods.
So they may experience some pleasure. Brahmananda, we say, is like some pleasure in Brahman because there is no anxiety. You have come to the platform of uh, recognizing that you are spirit soul. I have nothing to gain, I have nothing to lose. So there is some pleasure, but they have not experienced the bigger pleasure. Like we say, material pleasure is like a drop of water in the desert. Brahmananda is like a little puddle of water, and bhakti is like an ocean of unending bliss, like an ocean. So, Brahmananda also, there is some, you come to that platform of from negative to zero. So, yeah, you're not on the negative side, you're on the, you come to zero. So, there is some absence of misery, but there is no positive joy in life. So, from bhakti. So, many people like impersonalists, are like impersonalists. They are, yeah, they talk about detachment, but no attachment to Krishna. So, that is partial. So, and it will not sustain also because there is no positive joy and the soul is looking for joy. So higher taste. So that is not there. There is some higher taste kind of in Brahman realized, but not full. It's a partial. So actually every living being is an eternal servant of Krishna, but due to forgetfulness, okay, we read that. By becoming detached from material activities, we'll be freed from fear and anger. By austerity, one becomes purified and eligible to return home back to Godhead. By austerity, you can also control your senses, or you become trained to control the senses. So that's also purifies. Austerity is like, developing your willpower to go against your mind and senses. So you're now ready to do Krishna conscious activities, like rising early in the morning and chanting Hare Krishna is an austerity in the beginning. So But if one does that austerity, then he becomes purified. So austerity should be done, which is recommended in the Shastra. Or one should not make up any austerity. Like Ekadashi is an austerity recommended in the Shastra. So you do austerity, but austerity should not be done so that you forget Krishna. So it should not become so austere that you don't have the energy to serve Krishna or like that. Not that kind of austerity. And you cannot remember Krishna. So sometimes we get caught up in the rituals. So we just do austerity for the sake of doing austerity, but we forget the spirit behind the austerity. That Ekadashi is Upavas, it is meant to uh, bring us closer to Krishna. So, like that. So, that kind of austerity will not help. Just, of course, they say there are many stories like that of Prahlad Maharaj in his past life. He quarreled with his girlfriend, and they were in the temple, and it was the day of Narsingha Chaturdashi, and they fasted and like that, and they got the benefit. So that is there. But there are many people are fasting in the hospital also, right? They may not be eating and they're unconscious. They're fasting on Ekadashi. So do they get benefit? We had discussed this before. Do they get benefit of fasting on Ekadashi? Because they are not eating out of for their health reason. They may be in coma or something. So one thing is it should be voluntarily done. Of course, there is Agyata Sukruti, but devotional service should be done voluntarily, keeping our heart in Krishna. So, by austerity, one becomes purified and eligible to return home back to Godhead. So, controlling the senses and like this, restraining from sense gratification, one becomes purified ultimately. The duty of the king is to rule his citizens in such a way that they can become Krishna conscious. This would be very beneficial for everyone. Unfortunately, the king or president engages people in sense gratification instead of the Lord's service. And such activities are certainly not beneficial for anyone. So, leaders should not engage people in sense gratification or should not motivate people in sense gratification. Rather, they should be motivated to engage in Krishna's service. So, that is a good leader. But now what is happening is the leader is encouraging it. People want sense gratification, and the leader is giving them sense gratification because he wants to remain in power and he wants to get votes. So they will give, like sometimes we see in India, they will distribute liquor in order to get votes because people want liquor and they distribute liquor and things like that so that people will vote for them because they are anybody's sense gratification. If somebody helps my sense gratification, then he's my friend. And somebody prevents me from sense gratification, then he's my enemy. This is basically. But the sadhu uh, is one who engages one in Krishna's service. And there is sense gratification in Krishna's service because your senses become enlivened by serving Krishna. So that's different spiritual sense gratification. One experiences higher taste and joy and happiness and all that. So this is what the sadhu should do. One should not motivate. Like this is the argument that Narad Muni gives to Vyasadeva. Vyasadeva, you have written all the scriptures and people are already inclined to sense gratification. You simply encourage them in sense gratification by giving all these different yagnas and all these things. This is not good. And that's why you yourself are not satisfied. And so so Bhagavatam talks about pure devotional service, and pure devotional service actually satisfies the soul because we are part and parcel of Krishna. So when Krishna is served, then obviously the soul will be satisfied. So, and such activities are certainly not beneficial for anyone. Unfortunately, the king or president engages people in sense gratification instead of the Lord's service, and such activities are certainly not beneficial for anyone because that will only prolong our stay in this material existence. And as soon as you get a body, means so many problems can happen with this body or the hospital, so many patients. Dukhalayam, this is a place of misery and with this material body. So more or less it's like that. Somebody has good karma, so it's not experiencing that. But then he feels like, yeah, it's not miserable. And that's problem because then he doesn't want to get out of this material existence and he doesn't want to serve Krishna because he feels happy in material way. So we should not make a situation which will make us materially satisfied. We are materially satisfied, then we'll become complacent about devotional service. Like yesterday, that video we were seeing from Keshav Maharaj, he was saying this is a battlefield where people are dying around at every moment. You open the newspaper, you see somewhere this bomb blast happened in Gaza Strip. So so many people died, and other people are dying of natural, other old age, and so many people die every day. So as on the battlefield, people are dying. Here also, so many people are dying every day. Material world is like a hotel. They say, right? There is a hotel. People are checking in and checking out. So you check into a room for some time. You have checked into this body. The soul has checked into this body for some time in this room. And we are living in this for a few years. Of course, it's some time for a few years, which we think is very long, but actually it's very short. And we don't make any efforts to change the wall color and all this thing, curtain and all this thing, because we are going to get out of this hotel room. So, and we have to vacate it. So it's like that. This is like a hotel. Material world is like a hotel. You check in from one hotel, you go into another hotel. Sometimes you have a lot of money, so you can get into a nice five-star hotel. And sometimes you don't have money, then you have to go into a lesser. So we get different bodies according to this, like this. But we are constantly checking in and out, checking in and out, checking in and out. And so this is what we have to realize that the soul has nothing to do here in this material existence. And with the passing of time, everything will vanish into oblivion. Everything will be forgotten, and things that we considered so much important are all finished with time. As we think this is my, I have to do this, I have to do that, and as we move on in life and years go by, things change and like that. So the only reason we got this human life is to become Krishna conscious and get out of this cycle of birth and death and this Dukhalayam place. Like if you're in Afghanistan in a war zone, you say, "Get me out of here! Get me out! I want to get out." Some helicopter will come and they will take you out. In Ukraine, so many people went out of the country. When Taliban took over in Afghanistan, so many people wanted to leave Afghanistan. They were hanging onto the plane. They didn't want to stay there, but not everybody could get out. So we should think like this is also like that. We have to get out of here. This is Dukhalayam, and it's a miserable place. So I have to get out, and the rope has been thrown to get out. The helicopter has come in the form of the Hare Krishna mantra from the spiritual world to rescue us. Krishna has come on Garuda, like that, Vishnu. So he's extending his hand. We have to grasp his hand. Krishna is extending his hand. Hold on to my hand. We have to grasp onto Krishna's hand. And we will be pulled. King Rahugana tried to engage Jada in carrying the palanquin, which is a form of sense gratification for the king. The king is enjoying in the palanquin being carried by four people. However, if one is engaged as a palanquin carrier in the Lord's service, that is certainly beneficial. So, in many temples, like in In Mayapur also, they have a palanquin, I think, on which Prabhupada is carried around. And other temples in South India where they carry out the deity, Utsav Murti, on the palanquin, and they go around and like that. So that is certainly beneficial. In this godless civilization, if a president engages people somehow or other in devotional service or the awaken of Krishna consciousness, he renders the very best service to the citizens. So service means somebody relieves somebody's suffering, right? Service, if you do service to somebody, you are so grateful. Somebody, you need financial help and somebody gives you financial, you are so grateful. And here is Srila Prabhupada and all the devotees. They are coming and they are saying, we will solve all your problems. Not only your financial problem, every all problems are solved. Death, old age, disease, the main problems are solved. Everything is solved. So how much we should be grateful for those who give us Krishna consciousness, as we are grateful to somebody who helps us in times of distress. But that's a partial help, but this is a full help. So this is like will take us out of the, and there is spiritual world and there is this material world. So we can go back there. Okay, so any other comments? Anybody else? Prabhupada says preaching is the best service. Means and preaching is also done by example, by our behavior and our by which people are attracted. So preaching is the best service, Prabhupada said like that. The Lord will be very satisfied with somebody who preaches his message. Here it says, there are many services. Preaching, Giriraj Swami something is. Srila Prabhupada has given us a very valuable slogan. Preaching is the essence, books are the basis, utility is the principle, purity is the force. He also showed by his own example and instructions just how essential he considered this first item of preaching. So we can also, preaching also means to bring people to Krishna, so to get them in Krishna's service. I personally heard and saw an example of this preaching mood in Srila Prabhupada in his last days. He instructed his disciple, the then president of Bombay Temple, Giriraj Swami, about how to conduct the opening of Juhu Temple. This was in late October or early November 1977, when Prabhupada was still, he passed away on 14th November, so just before his passing, 1 month or something like that. He said to him, in case I am not able to attend the opening there, and Prabhupada could not attend the opening of the Juhu temple, but he said, this is how it should be. Then I want you to arrange things very nicely. The prasadam should be first class, and you should invite all the important leaders, etc., etc. So many things. Prasadam should be first class. You should invite the important leaders, and what, etc., etc. Etc. Here, Srila Prabhupada was in his very last days on the planet, but he was still preaching and training us how we should preach. He makes this point very emphatically in this purport to Srimad Bhagavatam. Preaching is the best service to the Lord. The Lord will immediately be extremely satisfied. Krishna will be extremely, not only satisfied, but extremely satisfied with one who engages in this service of preaching of Krishna consciousness. This is confirmed by the Lord Himself in Bhagavad Gita. There is no servant in this world more dear to me than he, nor will there ever be one more dear. If one sincerely tries his best, and we may not be perfect, but if we are speaking the perfect message, that's what Prabhupada expects of us. Of course, he also wants us to become pure devotees, but that may take some time. But as long as we are speaking the message of pure devotional service, that's also very valid, and we are trying to improve also at the simultaneously. If one sincerely tries his best to spread Krishna consciousness by preaching the glories of the Lord, and his supremacy, even if he is imperfectly educated, he becomes the dearmost servant of the Supreme Personality of God. So even if he's imperfectly educated, means he's not speaking perfectly or he's not a great orator, but he becomes the dearmost servant. This is bhakti. As one performs this service for humanity without discrimination between friends and enemies, the Lord becomes satisfied and the mission of one's life is fulfilled. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu therefore advised everyone to become a Guru devotee and preach Krishna consciousness. That is the easiest way to realize the Supreme Personality of Godhead. By such preaching, the preacher becomes satisfied, and to those to whom he preaches are also satisfied. This is a process of bringing peace and tranquility to the entire world. Of course, in our preaching, we will meet many obstacles that is to be expected because we are declaring war on Maya. Yeah, so devotee is like a spiritual warrior. He has to fight, he has to put up a fight against his own mind first, right? And then the external elements. We will fight our own mind. So if you have that Kshatriya mentality, then it's very helpful. Like when we are chanting, we have to fight the mind and we have to fight like internal our desires and all these things. Because there is a force of the desire, and you have to fight means you have to resist the force of the desire, which is not easy. So you have to be like a warrior, like Arjun. So Prabhupada was a warrior. He was meeting many obstacles. Of course, inside he didn't have any obstacles because he was a pure devotee. But externally, he was meeting with many obstacles. We may be meeting with more obstacles inside than external. So we have to be a fighter and never give up. Keep fighting. Even if we are defeated, we get up and fight. There are some war in army. Sometimes people get injured, but they are so determined to fight that they recuperate and they again go back onto the battlefield, to fight. So even if we fall down, something happens, but we should not. This is also Maya makes us fall down. Of course, not Maya, but our own conditioning and our own lack of determination. And so, but then we have to again get up and fight. We should not say, "Oh, I'm done. I'm defeated. I've lost all hope, and I cannot fight." No, again, get up and fight. With Krishna by your side, one will emerge victorious. So, so when Duryodhana in the first chapter, he's going to Bhishma and he's saying, our strength, he's going to Dronacharya and he's saying, our strength is immeasurable because we are protected by Bhishma. Whereas the strength of the Pandavas, who is guarded by Bhima, is limited. And then he uses the word aparyaptam. Aparyaptam means insufficient, he's saying. It can mean insufficient, or as Prabhupada has translated it, it means immeasurable. It is more than sufficient. So he's speaking to Drona. So Drona should think that, oh, he's encouraging that, yeah, it is um, it is immeasurable because we have Bhishma. But he's also, I think to Bhishma he's saying that it is immeasurable because Bhishma is there on our side. And to Drona is saying it is insufficient because Bhishma is there, but he has a soft corner for the Pandavas. So he may not fight. And like that he's telling. And then Bhishma responds by blowing the conch shell. He did not say anything to Duryodhana. He just blew the conch shell. And the conch shell is a symbol of victory. It's a Prabhupada writes in that purport that this conch shell is nothing but Vishnu's, and wherever there is Vishnu, Bhishma is indicating that even though we have all these things on our side, but Krishna is on the other side. So just 1 minute. So they are going to win. Yes, Hare Krishna. हाँ मैं थोड़ी देर में कॉल करूँ या 9:15 को कर सकते हैं बात. ओके चलो हरे कृष्ण. Okay, so wherever Krishna is there, that's where we'll get experience victory. And this Hare Krishna mantra, Param Vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam. If we chant Hare Krishna, we'll emerge victorious. We may lose some battles, but we'll win the war. But when Maya sees that we are really determined to continue with our preaching service no matter what, she will not be able to interfere. Rather, she will congratulate us for maintaining this struggle even in the face of so many of our temptations. As mentioned above, we may be imperfectly educated, but that cannot stop us from simply repeating the words of Srila Prabhupada and Krishna for the benefit of suffering humanity. That is our perfection and will bring us real satisfaction. But if we think I don't care about others, I only want to save myself, then we'll not get really the sweet taste of devotional service. So please don't give up the struggle to preach the message of Lord Chaitanya and Srila Prabhupada, no matter what position in life you happen to be in. So that is Trivikram's disciple of Prabhupada. Okay.
Uh, so I think like Rahuguna, like Prabhupada is writing in this purport that Rahugana should have been engaging his people in Krishna service, not his own service. So like we say, servant leaders, right? Uh, so like the spiritual master is supposed to engage his disciples in Krishna service. Also, Bhakti Siddhanta would say and to everyone, dasos me, I'm your servant. So the consciousness in which you are accepting that position of a leader or you are preaching is important. Otherwise Maya can attack even the elevated preachers. There's one verse that I came across in my uh, preparing the lecture. I'm pasting in this link, 518.4. So this verse says that great there can be great preachers. They're very experienced and they're convinced about the futility of material enjoyment. And they can also preach to others and convince them. But this Maya is so powerful that it can bewilder even such great preachers. So if we get proud a little bit of, I am better than others, or even commit offenses, or um, don't think that these things that I'm saying applies to me somewhere. So Maya can attack even the preachers who are you know, preaching.
Yeah, correct. So, yeah, as we have seen, like sometimes it happens, and then, yeah, Krishna makes us humble. O unborn one, or learned Vedic scholars who are advanced in spiritual knowledge certainly know that this material world is perishable, as do other logicians and philosophers. In trance, they realize the factual position of this world, and they preach the truth as well. Yet even they are sometimes bewildered. Even they are sometimes bewildered by your illusory energy. This is your own wonderful pastime. Therefore, I can understand that your illusory energy is very wonderful and offer my respect. So those who are preaching can themselves that be bewildered by illusory energy. So yeah. So we should always, Prabhupada says, I'm always praying that I don't fall down. So we should always depend on Krishna and consider Krishna's protection as the summum bonum of our life. Not only does the illusory energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead act on the conditioned soul within this material world, but sometimes it also acts on the most advanced learned scholars who factually know the constitutional position of this material world. Through realization, as soon as someone thinks, I am this material body, aham mameti, and everything in relationship with this material body is mine, is an illusion, moha. This illusion caused by the material energy acts specially on the conditioned souls, but it sometimes also acts on the liberated souls as well. And this is fifth canto. Okay, so we are going to come to this verse. So it's saying, yes. Therefore, Lord Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, okay, but because of association, a liberated soul is a person who has sufficient knowledge of this material world and is therefore unattached to the bodily conception of life. But because of association with the modes of material nature for a very long time, even liberated souls sometimes become captivated by the illusory energy due to inattentiveness in the transcendental position. Therefore, Lord Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Ma me vaya prapadyante maya me tam taranti te. Only those who surrender to me can overcome the influence of material energy. Therefore, no one should think of himself as a liberated person, immune to the influence of Maya. One should always feel very weak, that I am not very strong, Krishna. You have to protect me, not be overconfident. So one should not think himself as a liberated person. I know so much Shastra and all this and that, and I am doing so much service, and I am, you know, the best devotee. This is also. Everyone should very, I am Paramahamsa, everyone should very cautiously execute devotional service by rigidly following regulatory principles. Thus, he will remain fixed at the lotus feet of the Lord. One should not think, oh, I'm above the regulative principles. I've advanced so much, I don't care to follow any. This chanting every day, it's like, I'm beyond all this. Otherwise, a little inattention. That is Churasya Dhara. Churasya Dhara,
निशिता दुरत्य
Nishita Durataya,
दुर्गम पठस्तद कवयो वदन्ति.
Kukumpatas Tatkavayamati. Okay. Prapya Varan Nibodat.
उत्तिष्ठ जाग्रत starts from there. उत्तिष्ठ जाग्रत प्राप्य वरान् बोधिता क्षुरस्य धारया निशिता दुरत्य दुर्गम पठस्तद कवयो वदन्ति.
Yeah, it's so bad, I forget. So, like, just few days back, memorized, but Kukumpatas Tatkavayamati.
We have to use that verse in our speaking to others. If we speak it 10 times to different devotees, that verse will become ours. It's mentioned. So if you learn a verse, we should try to use it in talking with others.
Yeah. In the context, yes, we have to use it. Durgam Patastakavaya Vadanti. And then what's the last line? Patastakavaya Vadanti.
This is the last line.
Okay, Uttishta Jagrita is the first line. Prapya Varan Nibodhata. Then,
Churasya dharayam nishitam duratya. Nishitam duratya.
okay. So Durgam Pathas, the path is very, self realization is very difficult. As the great learned scholars say, Tat Kavayo Vadanti. Vadanti means Kavayo. Those who are great scholars, they have said. So it is like a razor, sharp razor's edge. So just see the boon you have got. Wake up now that you have got this human form of life. Uttishta Jagrata. Wake up, O sleeping soul. Jagrat, to awake. Uttishta is also to get up, right? Uttishta. Prapya Varan. Prapya means you have gotten, obtained the Vara, the benediction. Varan. Nibodhat. What is Nibodhat? Prapya Varan Nibodhat, right? The same.
Mm-hmm. I don't think there was word to word, but
We
please
have that.
wake up, understand the boon that you have achieved in the form of this human life. I don't know, human form of life, where is it mentioned here? Nipodat, is that?
Prapya. Let's see.
Razor, put that.
Just understand. Nibodhat. Yeah. There is word for word in this shloka.
Hmm.
Uttishta, get up. Get up. Awake and get up is like same thing, kind of. Uttishta
Mhm.
Jagrata. Prapya Varan. Vara means, var means boon. Yeah, the advantages you got. Nibodhat. Just understand the advantages you have obtained. Implicit it is there in the human form of life, because this is to human beings. So Shurasya Dhara Nishita Duratyaya. So Shurasya means razor, Dhara is the edge, Nishita regulations. Uh, Rules and regulations, we say. Rules are the do's and regulations are the do nots, right? Sometimes we say But anyway, the rules and regulations are very difficult. The regulation, path of spiritual realization. Okay, Durat, they are very difficult. Durgam pathas tat kavayo vadanti. Kavi means those who are learned, right? Learned scholar. Durgam, very difficult to cross. Pathas, the path.
Two times it says difficult. Duratya and Durgam.
Duratteya. Durgam, okay. So yeah, we have got this very nice human form of life. It's a blessing by Krishna. And we should be very attentive. We should like do our spiritual practices. Casual means casualties. So anyway, so what were we reading? Yeah, this verse. Therefore, no one should think himself as a liberated person immune to the influence of Maya. Everyone should very cautiously execute devotional service. They say accidents happen sometimes even where you don't expect it to happen, right? Because you're
Even on the royal road.
even on the royal roads, and also like in your backyard, right? When you are driving in yours, I had accident not on the highway but near the temple. There are cross.
Because you become overconfident. I know this place. I have been here multiple times. So we become inattentive to places that we are familiar with.
Yeah. And we think like, well, there is no traffic in this. How can there be? I mean, I can just go like traffic. We think like, yeah, there is not, and that's the time when the car will come.
Mhm.
So,
Overconfidence or familiarity.
confidence, familiarity, taking lightly, yeah. So one should be alert to alert, have good association, and have good aspiration. Everyone should very cautiously execute devotional service by rigidly following regulatory principles. We should not think that, yeah, this is just like, this chanting 16 round, what is there in this word 16, like that. But yeah, we should chant at least, we should chant even more. It's okay, like if I take a little this and that, it's okay. It's not like end of the world. Sometimes we think like that. Yeah, so we should have some flexibility, but it's not like in the name of flexibility we neglect our chanting. Thus he will remain fixed at the lotus feet of the Lord. Otherwise, a little inattention will create havoc. We've already seen an example of this in the case of Maharaj Bharat. Maharaj Bharat was undoubtedly a great devotee, but because he turned his attention slightly towards small ear, he used to suffer two more births. One as a deer and another as a Brahmana, Jada Bharat. Afterwards, he was liberated and went back home, back to Bharata. The Lord is always prepared to execute his devotee, but if a devotee takes advantage of the Lord's leniency and purposefully commits mistakes again and again, the Lord will certainly punish him by letting him fall down into the clutches of illusory energy. So, in that way, he will rectify him. So, Bharat Maharaj knew, but he was not making any corrective measures like that. So, in other words, theoretical knowledge acquired by studying the Vedas is insufficient to protect one from the clutches of Maya. Yeah, just theory will not help. One must strongly adhere to the lotus feet of the Lord in devotional service, then one's position is secure. We have to catch tightly hold of. Means basically we have to chant Hare Krishna, and engage in practical devotional service for the propagation of Krishna consciousness also. So in this way, we can both have to be there. Reading scriptures and all this also, which will sharpen our intelligence. Prabhupada says 3 to 4 hours one should read my books every day. We think 1 hour is too much. Prabhupada says 3 to 4 hours daily one should read my books. So, and read it over and over again. If it's finished one time, then you go back and you read it again. So, like that. Yeah. There is call in the evening also, right? You read Chaitanya Charitamrita, Bhagavad Gita. So, over and over, Bhagavad Gita has to be read again and again. We should never think, yes, I've read enough. Mm. So, because even one verse, if we really, really apply it in our life, we'll achieve perfection. Okay. So, anything else to say? We will read the last verse because we started a little late. तन्मे भवान् नरा देवाभिमान मदेन तुच्छीकृता सतमस्य कृशिष्टा मैत्री त्रिशम् आर्तबन्धो यथा यथा तरे सद अवध्यानम् whatever you have spoken appears to me to be contradictory. So he's refuting like whatever Jada Bharata said. Oh, best friend of the distressed, I have committed a great offense by insulting you. I was puffed up with false prestige due to possessing the body of a king. For this I have certainly become an offender. Therefore I pray that you kindly glance at me with your causeless mercy. If you do so, I can be relieved from sinful activities brought about by insulting you. So please I beg your pardon. Please, please, excuse me. I offended you. Although he said what you said, it appears to be contradictory because maybe he wants to hear more. But he's also saying, yeah, I've insulted you. So please. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has said that by offending a Vaishnava, one finishes all his spiritual activities. Offending a Vaishnava is considered the mad elephant offense. A mad elephant can destroy an entire garden, which has been developed with great labor. One may attain the topmost platform of devotional service, but somehow or other, if he offends a Vaishnava, the whole structure collapses. Unconsciously, King Rahugana offended Jada Bharat, but due to his good sense, he asked to be excused. This is the process by which one must be relieved from a Vaishnava aparadh. Krishna is always very simple and by nature merciful. When one commits an offense at the feet of a Vaishnava, one must immediately apologize to such a personality so that his spiritual advancement may not be hampered. Immediately say sorry. So, and the Vaishnavas will forgive because they are very. We should not think why is he not forgiving. Yeah, but if he's a true Vaishnava, then Vaishnavas are anybody. Even Maharaj Parikshit forgave Kali and did not kill him. He was supposed to be killed, but he did not kill him. So we have many examples where who all forgave in the scriptures.
Uh, you talked about Amrish Maharaj, right?
Amrish Maharaj forgave, yes. Durvasa Muni. Then who else? Then any other where
Hmm.
Haridas
Somebody
Thakur.
forgives.
Yeah,
Yeah, heard that.
Haridas Thakur also forgave the beaten. Then who else?
I think Chitraketu Maharaj was cursed, like he forgave. I mean, he didn't counter curse.
Hmm.
But
Yeah, he did not counter, but then Prahlad Maharaj also forgives. He asks Lord to forgive his father.
mm,
Prahlad Maharaj, Amrish Maharaj, Haridas Thakur, Srivas
well,
Thakur, Srivas Thakur also,
mhm.
Gopal Chapala
Gopal Chappal. Yeah.
forgive. So like
Yeah.
that, there may be others also.
Shami Krishi, like, he didn't mind, like,
Hmm.
but Shrindi took an offense.
Yeah. So of course Nityanand Prabhu forgave Matai.
Jagai Matai.
Now he is the Supreme Lord, but yeah. So like that, the devotees also forgive. They don't like bear any grudge and like that.
But Krishna takes it as an offense. Still, even if the devotee is not taking it as an offense, it should still beg pardon.
Mm. Yeah, but then when you excuse, the devotee excuses you specifically, like Amrish Maharaj, then
Yeah, because they begged for forgiveness and then they excused. In their heart, they didn't take it as an offense. So, what? It's not like, okay, this devotee didn't mind, so let me move on. No, you should still beg for forgiveness because Krishna is looking.
so yeah. So if in our heart we feel that we have offended somebody, then we should beg forgiveness immediately, Prabhupada says. Okay. Okay, so we'll stop here with this and to go to the program. There is a donor